But welcome to our Rising Junior families, and thank you for joining the parent transition meeting tonight. You all get extra brownie points for giving up your Tuesday night on this nice, warm, sunny day. So we appreciate everyone being here. And as we always like to do in DePaul Prep fashion, we're going to open up together with a prayer. And Ms. Lozano from our Mission and Ministry Department will begin us in prayer to keep us grounded. So, Ms. Lozano.
Thank you, Mr. Voss. So we'll just pause and know that we're in God's presence and that God is holding us and is ever with us. And we pray, Creator God, source of love, font of peace, we gather in your name as parents, guardians, and caregivers of teens. We give ourselves to you in this moment. When we are overwhelmed, give us the confidence in small steps. When we are stressed, help us to recognize joyful moments. When we are filled with worry, gift us with reassurance of your presence. When the day keeps us running, remind us to breathe in the life-giving air around us. Infuse us with the breath of the Holy Spirit, knowing that it is in us. It is us. Give us patience and strength for the long days and quick years. And hold in our hearts your loving hands. We ask this in your name, O God. Amen.
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 Great. Thank you, Ms. Lozano. And again, welcome to all the families. We appreciate you being here tonight. I am going to record this meeting so that we can have it posted for later viewing. So we'll get that started. And again, welcome to all the families. We appreciate you being here. We're going to do some quick introductions to get started, and then we'll kind of walk through what the night will entail, and then go from there. So welcome. My name is Mr. Voss. I am one of the assistant principals here at DePaul Prep, and I'm finishing up my 5th year here at DePaul Prep. So welcome. Ms. Curtin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Curtin, and I'm one of the 4 college counselors that we will be having on staff next year. I'm wrapping up my 2nd year, and I can't wait to begin working with my junior families later in the fall.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shelby Saunders. I am a school counselor here at DePaul Prep. I'm finishing up my 1st official year. My 2nd year here, I was lucky enough to complete my internship here the year prior to this. And yeah, it's good to see you all.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Lozano, campus minister in Mission and Ministry. It's my end of my 1st full year at DePaul College Prep.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nicole Rand. This is my 8th year at DePaul Prep. I've worn many hats. I've been a school counselor, an English teacher, and this year I'm in the role of learning specialist.
Great. Thank you, team. And congratulations to all you parents almost finishing up 2 years, having your son and daughters at DePaul Prep. And then that's why the purpose of this meeting tonight is to kind of get you ready to transition to be junior parents, which is an exciting time for all of them. So tonight we're going to talk about kind of what our program goals are. We're going to kind of discuss the changes in academic rigor and the expectations that you'll see for 11th graders. We're going to talk about supports that will be available for your sons and daughters to help prepare them to be successful for 11th grade. Talk about some of the development changes that students undergo at this age and kind of that jump moving from sophomore to junior year, which is a big jump. Talk about the faith formation at DePaul College Prep, which Ms. Lozano will talk about. And then our college planning, which Ms. Curtin from College Counseling will talk about. And then we'll talk about some of the summer preview, some assignments that some of the students may have to complete over the summer, some important upcoming dates for next school year, the 24-25 school year. And then if there's any questions that you have during this presentation, feel free to write them in the chat. And then if we have some time towards the end, we can address some of those questions either through the chat or with all of you. So let's get this started. So what are some of the major differences that we see typically from the jump from sophomore year to junior year? And how does it kind of compare? I think one of the big things to kind of hone in on is the time management skills. It's really, really important and key to have time management skills during the junior year. There's a lot of things going on, getting ready for colleges, the academic rigor in the classes. You start to see a change in that. So teaching them these skills to kind of manage their time is really important to keep them on track and to be successful. We start to see more independent learning happening. And we really, really try to teach that to them as well. Become independent learning. You know, they're starting to become young adults. We're trying to get them ready for that next, time in their lives moving into college. So teaching those skills now is going to be really important, especially in their junior year. And then on top of that, we really want to push for students to have self-advocacy and learn those skills as well, and have them have more ownership, advocating for themselves, going to their teachers, going to their counselors, speaking to the trusted adults in their lives, when it comes down to their grades or homework, extracurriculars, whatever they may be involved in. It's just really good to have those self-advocacy skills rather than coming from the parents. We try to push the onus on them. And then really more positive conversations that you have at home, finding out more about what the work schedule is like, what they're doing in their classes, talk about, the next steps with college and their planning and what they might want to do in the next level. So having just really important positive conversations, be involved, ask questions, let them know that you're there for them. And you're going to see, a nice partnership happen because of that. So we asked and polled some of our teachers and asked for some of their feedback on what they see in terms of teaching juniors. I started out as a high school English teacher, and I mostly taught juniors. They were some of my favorite classes to teach. I really, really loved working with the juniors. So some of the joys that the teachers stated working with the juniors is the maturity. So like I said, there's a big jump from sophomore to junior year. We usually start to see the maturity happen throughout the summer. And then when they come back as juniors, we see a big change in maturity from their sophomore year. Again, we talked about being independent learners. They're starting to kind of think more on their own, have more thoughts, have more opinions, and start to kind of own in on their independency. And then in terms of classes, teachers have noticed higher engagement typically happens in their junior year. They really see this in their discussions. We start to kind of see more of that higher level discussions happening, critical thinking happening, which is really exciting to get them honed in on that. And then they begin to think outside of their immediate community. So they start thinking about, their resumes, what's going to be on their, jobs, getting involved in different activities, how they can start building their resume and for that college application. So they start thinking outside their little group and start trying to get involved more. Some of the challenges that they see working with the seniors, even though a lot of maturity does happen from sophomore to junior year, there are still some challenges with maturity, especially in the fall, setting boundaries. I think they are still kind of maybe used to that sophomore mindset and not realizing that the academic rigor is going to happen. So it's a little bit of a, transition for them in that fall semester. And then some of them still kind of struggle becoming independent learners. Maybe some of them had a lot of supports in place and more guidance from their teachers, freshmen and sophomore years. Not that they're going to get the supports junior year, but again, we're trying to push them more into becoming independent learners and not rely so heavily on those heavy supports that they might have received freshman and sophomore year. The junior year can lead to a lot of anxiety. We talk to our students, and you're going to be taking more AP classes, IB classes. The strength of the schedule is going to get tougher. They're going to be starting to get involved in the college planning process, working with their college counselors, with their school counselors. So a lot of more things are just going to be added to their plate, doing the ACT testing, the SAT testing. All that kind of leads to more anxiety. And then students, because of this, tend to usually overcommit on things because they feel like they kind of need to build up that resume. And so sometimes they might overcommit on things. So I think we try to teach them that healthy balance, that healthy life balance between schoolwork, but then also taking care of themselves as well. I think the next slide, I'm going to pass over to Ms. Saunders.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Voss. So before we get into the specific expectations kind of by subject area, just in general, we find that students are most successful in their junior year when they embrace the process of learning. So this means that they're independently completing those practice problems provided by their teachers, whether that be homework, classwork, projects, group work, what have you. They're actively advocating for themselves, as Mr. Voss said. They're seeking help from their teachers, but also other school resources as needed. They're persisting through difficult concepts as part of an effort to learn, rather than chasing grades. I think that this is really important, and we'll talk about this more when we cover having what's called a growth versus fixed mindset later on. We also find that by junior year, students are expected to work collaboratively with their classmates. And again, they can independently apply concepts in a variety of ways, depending on the situation.
Okay, so I am going to review academic expectations junior year, specifically focusing on reading, writing, math, science, executive functioning skills, and a growth mindset, and having that perseverance. So, building those soft skills that are important in life, and preparing for college and post-secondary plans. So reading expectations, the reading is going to be more rigorous across the curriculum. Students are going to need to read closely and analytically, paying close attention to how the author's choice of word, detail, or concept determines or changes meaning, tracking multiple ideas over a course of a text, reading actively, so engaging in the text, asking questions, making connections, analyzing. And it's really important that students take notes and annotate while reading, using a highlighter, using kind of sticky tabs, writing directly on the iPad, just showing that that active reading and understanding, engaging with the text is really important. And the texts are going to be more complex. And that's in English and history classes and theology. So demonstrating that intellectual stamina when reading more complex material, and using teacher resources to help, and reaching out to the teacher. Again, we're focusing on independent learning. So teachers aren't going to be hand-holding as much as we see in 9th and 10th grade. Teachers are going to want students to kind of take that initiative, reach out, use resources, go to the resource hub, reach out to the teacher as needed. And so reading to understand different perspectives, to challenge and clarify their own thinking, and apply reading to discussion, to rich discussion, and in classwork. Also notice that IB and AP courses are going to be more rigorous, more challenging reading than the CP level courses. Okay, writing expectations are going to be rigorous across the curriculum. So writing to express complex, mature thinking in various subjects and genres. Students should be able to write clear, concise, grammatically correct sentences, paragraphs, and essays. Expect to write long form pieces in multiple subject areas, not just English. So we're talking about research papers, longer essays. Make writing choices without needing an adult's guidance for every step. Again, really encouraging students to become more independent learners. Seek out feedback, use that feedback to make decisions. Continue to develop research and synthesis skills, evaluating and critiquing sources from different perspectives. And strong time management is going to be really important for students. where they're breaking down. So if they have a longer research paper or longer essay, really breaking that down into manageable chunks. If they need help doing that, again, reach out to the teacher, reach out to a counselor to help create some kind of timeline for completing these longer writing assignments and not waiting to the last minute and cramming and getting it done the night before, which is not sustainable. Okay, math expectations. So students will encounter advanced mathematical and science concepts that are preparing them for higher level, college level math. So the typical junior level math courses are Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, IB Mathematics. So the learning will be both skill-based questions as well as applying those skills to real-world scenarios, which can be challenging. So it's particularly important that students practice perseverance when encountering word problems. So the goal is for students to learn the skills and apply the math concepts in unique situations, which means that not every scenario will be taught explicitly. Math and science expectations. So all junior math and science courses will have a substantially kind of more challenging workload. Students are expected to engage with the material regularly, complete assigned textbook readings, diligently practice problem sets. Consistent and timely completion of homework is really important for mastering material and preparation for assessments. So this means, completing homework in a way that students are understanding the material and not just kind of checking off the box and rushing through the homework and submitting it. Because by putting in that extra effort so that they're understanding it, it's going to help when they take their assessments, and their assessments are more weighted, they're worth more points. So if students are just kind of rushing through the homework and the practice problems, they may not be prepared for assessments that are really going to impact their grades. So really encouraging them to put forth their best effort, reach out if they need extra help so that they're really understanding the homework that they're doing. And just, encourage them to allocate time during the day for studying, reviewing notes, completing homework so that when a big test does come, they're not just cramming to understand material that they didn't really properly review along the way. And this is particularly important for students involved in extracurricular activities after school, sports. Kind of planning that time is going to be particularly important. So this leads into what Ms. Saunders mentioned earlier about growth versus fixed mindset. So we at DePaul really encourage students to develop a growth mindset. There are going to be classes that are hard, and that's okay. Rather than just saying, oh, this is too hard, I'm not a math person, I'm not a science person, really shifting their thinking to, okay, this is hard, how can I problem solve? How can I work harder to really understand this material rather than just, getting stuck in this mindset that they can't do it. So as a parent, you can encourage your student to have this mindset when it comes to learning in any class. And this is an important life skill, to be perseverant, to be resilient when faced with challenging work and situations. So not everything is going to come easy. So it's important to build that perseverance and confidence when things get tough. Encourage students to use their textbook, reach out to the resources that are available to help them and to maintain a positive attitude, especially when learning math and science. This is important when they're, in preparing for college and career. And we have here this little graphic of the iceberg illusion. So, we often think of success. We see it, it's the tip of the iceberg, it's what people see. But what people don't see is all the hard work that's put into that success, the dedication, the hard work, the good habits, the disappointment, and sometimes failure, and getting back up on your feet and trying again and not giving up. So, so just encourage your student to develop, to really put in that effort for a growth mindset. So another, again, soft skills, so growth mindset, and also, organizational expectations and executive functioning. Self-advocacy, where we want students to be independent, more independent learners. So, we want students to initiate those teacher meetings, just as when they're in college or in a career, they would initiate meetings with a professor or with their boss if they have questions or need clarification, and reach out to the counselor. Organization, students can find a system that works for them. A to-do list, a daily planner, whether it's on paper or digital, or maybe having a whiteboard at home where they have their schedule and they break down like when they have time for outside responsibilities, athletics, extracurricular, and when they have time to do their homework. Time management, planning, prioritizing their workload. These are all really important skills we want students to develop their junior year. So I'm going to pass this on now to Ms. Saunders, who's going to talk about the importance of tracking assignments in Schoology.
Yeah, so part of that executive functioning piece is planning, and really using Schoology as the tool is so imperative. I know that at this point, we all should be pretty familiar with Schoology, but just want to reiterate that it's important that students check this page daily, especially as they're starting to get jobs, they're starting to get involved in more extracurriculars. It's really important that they use this as kind of a hub and a planning tool for them to keep track of their assignments. As the students are still kind of figuring out how to best plan and what system works for them, we recommend that parents help check grades on a weekly basis. Again, this isn't to take away, I think, the students' ownership. It's really just to help support them and ensure that there are no surprises. We found that using a web browser to look through grades is more efficient. Oftentimes on the mobile app, there's not as many functionalities. So in a web browser, for instance, you can see full feedback from teachers and check specific assignment submissions, times, whereas again, the app doesn't give you that full picture. And then I would encourage you to discuss the teacher feedback with your student. If something seems off, or if you're curious about what the teacher has said, have that conversation with your student and encourage them to kind of share what was going on in that moment. I also want to recommend checking the upcoming assignments section within Schoology. So there's a to-do list panel on the side that I think a lot of students find really helpful. And this is where you can see all upcoming assignments as well as past due assignments, I believe. This next bullet here, ensure your and your students' understanding of grade or category weights. So this, summatives versus formatives versus homework and classwork, it can all be weighted differently per subject area. So make sure at the start of the year, you all understand, how much does classwork impact the overall grade? Just again, so that there are no surprises later on. And then finally, be prepared. I know Schoology can be confusing for everyone. So if you have grading questions or if you have specific tech questions, counselors can help answer that, as well as Maggie Eaton, who's one of our lead tech people. And Back to School Night is another great opportunity to ask all of those questions about grading and weights. So now kind of shifting gears from academics to behavioral expectations. Really, by junior year, we expect students to be able to express their emotions in an appropriate and respectful manner. As we had mentioned before, the jump from 10th to 11th grade is a big one in terms of maturity. So we start to see that students should be able to regulate their emotions and inhibit their impulsive behaviors. Demonstrate empathy to others who have different views and beliefs. They're able to have these more mature conversations, whereas I think in years past, they've maybe reacted inappropriately or needed some more support. And I should say, we know that students will make mistakes and we're also here to support them through this, but at this point, they're learning how to handle that on their own. A big piece, again, is advocating for themselves. I feel like we say this all the time, but especially when they're absent or they have missing work, it's really important that if they miss a day, they're reaching out to their teachers to understand what they've missed. And I always tell the students, you know, this is their career, they're in the driver's seat, right? Like, this school is their job at this point. So how do they understand what they've missed when they've been out? They have to reach out to the teacher. This next one, own one's learning and behavior and have the self-awareness to make good choices. So at this point, our students can take accountability for their actions. And again, we know they're going to make mistakes, but really now they can own those mistakes and embrace the process of learning from them. They're starting to consider the perspective of teachers and peers. Again, this goes back to demonstrating empathy to others. They're focused on building meaningful relationships with faculty and staff in the building. Ms. Curtin is going to touch on this later, but as part of the college process, they do need to have a letter of recommendation from a teacher when they apply. So it's really important that they start building those relationships with teachers right from the onset of the year. And then, as everyone has mentioned, they're developing time management skills, again, because they're taking on, you know, a more rigorous coursework. They're starting to get jobs. They're taking on leadership roles within their respective sports or extracurriculars. And that's a really big piece too, because as they start to apply to college, many schools want to see that they have really honed in on their interests, and taking on leadership roles is a really great way to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Saunders. What we just talked about is a perfect segue to our discussion of college planning. So I'm just going to provide a quick overview of our team. We are located in the College and Career Center, which is different than where our school counselors are located. We're in room 159 on the first floor. And our team is actually growing. We are led by Mr. Tony Menestra, who is our Director of College Counseling. And we now have, we've gone from 2 college counselors to 3 next year to adapt to the growing nature of our student body, to help keep our student to college counselor caseload size fairly low. So I'm joined by Ms. Kate Koschel, and in August, we'll be joined by Ms. Samantha Mondro, who are really excited to join our team. I know it's on many of your minds and your students' minds. When will you be assigned your college counselor? Juniors will be paired with one of us sometime in November. So you can expect an email from Mr. Menestra in November, where it will indicate which of us has been matched with your student. You know, one of the things that I love about working at DePaul is that there's so many ways that we provide support to our students and families. We offer one-on-one meetings, which begins with a junior college planning meeting for families, a 45-minute meeting with the student and a parent or guardian. That those begin in December, can be either in person or via Zoom, depending on your availability. We offer a variety of information sessions, whether it's an in-person presentation, a webinar, or digital recordings that we send via email or post on our website. We share college content in advisory. We have a college fair in the spring. Hopefully many of you participated in that this past year. And in the fall, we welcome over 100 admissions reps from a variety of colleges across the country to campus where they can meet with our students. And so resources, you know, where can you go to kind of begin getting information about the college planning process? I would say the first step is taking a look at the college planning website that we have here at DePaul. We have old recordings of our presentations. We provide important links to databases, scholarship databases. We have a wonderful list of pre-college programs, internships, and jobs that students can check out to see what kind of opportunities are available for them, either in person or online. Yeah, so we're constantly updating that website. In addition, our students have access to Maya Learning. This is our college planning software that our students will use to research colleges, and it's how we will send their supporting application documents like transcripts and letter of rec once they're seniors. For those of you who've been through this process before, either here at DePaul or maybe another high school, you may be used to an online software called Naviance. But last year we decided to switch from Naviance to Maya due to the fact it's very user-friendly. Here's a pretty broad timeline about what you can expect over the course of next year. In September, that's when our admissions reps from different colleges will begin coming to campus. Last year, they were on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays during Fresh. And right now the plan is to continue with that schedule, but we'll make sure to update you in the fall. Definitely encourage your students to attend these sessions. Oftentimes the admissions reps who are coming to campus are our DePaul College Prep admissions rep. They're the ones who are reviewing an application if a student submits. They're great people to go to if you have questions. Typically all of these individuals are friendly, they're open, they want to get to know your students. So please definitely encourage your students to take advantage of this in the fall. In late November, that's when we'll begin providing you with more in-depth information about what you can expect from our team from November through graduation. We hold a huge presentation in Commons, it's in person, and it's our junior college kickoff where we share information and often also feature admissions reps from a few of our college partners. And then in December, that's when we will begin meeting with our juniors and their families. You know, we really want to spend the early part of the fall supporting our seniors and getting their applications submitted by early action deadlines, which typically are November 1st. And, you know, once we feel like they're in pretty good shape, we can now begin turning our attention to our juniors. I didn't put this on there, but I wanted, you know, just to build off of what Ms. Saunders said. In March is typically when we open our letter of recommendation process for our students. We have a very solid process and steps that students need to take in order to request a letter of recommendation, and we will share that in March. But as Ms. Saunders mentioned, really is a great idea for your students to start, you know, building relationships with their teachers. So when it comes time to ask a teacher in person in March, they know immediately who they can ask. We'll be holding our DePaul Prep College Fair in April. And the date's already set, April 14th, 2025. And the other thing that we do in April and May is that we enter the English classrooms. So English 3, AP Lang, AP Lit, and IB Lang to talk about the personal essay. I was in 3 classrooms today talking about how students can begin identifying their values and begin thinking about what is it that they want to communicate to their students in their personal essay. And then we really end the year for our juniors by offering a 3-day program on campus in the morning that's kind of like college application camp. That's the best way I describe it, which will allow your student to have a head start in completing their Common App form and getting started on essays. This year we're having 2 weeks of ramp up, just given the size of our current junior class. And so we're really excited to see how that goes. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to any of us, but we can't wait to begin working with you next year. And now I will turn it over to Bridget.
Good evening. This is Bridget Lozano. I'm going to talk about mission and ministry, both in leadership opportunities, service, and junior retreat. So there are some leadership opportunities that the juniors can get involved in during the academic year. They're invited to become peer retreat leaders. And what they do as peer retreat leaders, they help with our freshman and sophomore retreats. So both freshman and sophomore retreats are held on campus, and our junior peer leaders help to lead small group discussions and really help to connect with our freshmen and sophomore as they journey through their retreats. So it's a really great opportunity for juniors. At the conclusion of junior year, there's an opportunity for your student to become a Kairos leader for their senior year. So we historically have taken 7 senior leaders on each of our Kairos retreats. This upcoming year, we're actually increasing that number and we'll be taking 8 senior leaders. So there are opportunities for the students to be involved as a Kairos leader. So that's at the conclusion of junior year. They have to attend Kairos first, which is the retreat that is attended during junior year. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's also a couple more opportunities. Students are welcome to serve as lectors, Eucharistic ministers at our liturgies, at our all-school liturgies. And also we have a team called VEAS, which is our Vincentian Identity and Experiential Service team. And that team they are the ones that are doing group volunteer opportunities. And oftentimes those are announced on Schoology from Mr. Ford, but VEAS is the student group that drives those group opportunities that we offer. And we offer those monthly. Actually, I think it's twice a month. So that's a great opportunity for leadership and involvement. Another service opportunity are several opportunities in addition to individual opportunities that can be ongoing, that they might have started their freshman year and continued junior or sophomore year. They're welcome to continue those volunteer placements into junior year, but new opportunities for junior year is with honor societies. So each honor society has a 10-hour requirement for participation during that academic year. So there's opportunities there in honor societies. And then there's also opportunities that the athletic teams. So in addition to individual opportunities, those group opportunities that are announced via Schoology and that VEAS opportunity, there are the honor society hours that can be completed. In addition, you want to start thinking about supporting your student in their service life at DePaul College Prep. Any student who completes 50 hours of service with area Chicago nonprofits and 25 hours within our DePaul Prep community by April of their senior year will receive the St. Louis de Marillac Service Cord at graduation. So that's that Lake Blue Service Cord, honor cord that is given at graduation. So a really great honor. And as you think about building a resume for college, that's certainly going to be a standout for them. Next slide, please. So now I'll shift into talking about Kairos Retreat. Kairos Retreat is the junior retreat that we do at DePaul College Prep. Kairos is a 3-day peer-led retreat. So I mentioned those student leaders. Those are the student leaders that are directing the topics. Kairos is a form retreat in that it has some elements that are common across all Kairos retreats that are given. It was developed in 1965 and spread across the country, and now it's worldwide. But even though it's a form retreat that it has certain elements that are common, there's lots of room for individual schools and our school in particular to really shape that into our culture and our mission and ministry charism. Kairos really just encourages deeper understanding of self, God, and others. Next slide, please. And I want to just kind of piggyback that with that you don't have to be religious to attend Kairos. Kairos is not an overtly religious retreat. It really is getting to know yourself better. What are your values? Where are your goals? Which direction are you wanting to head? And who are those people in your life that can support you? Maybe looking a little bit deeper at your relationship with God and or your spirituality, how you reflect yourself in the world. And then really drawing that back to how does that impact our relationship with others? How does that impact who I am and who I say that I am then? So it's really getting into some of those personal questions, those existential questions that the juniors start to ask at this stage in their life. There are some things that are kept confidential about Kairos, and that is just to make it an experience that is engaging and something that students look forward to and something special that they can hold on to through their lifetime. And it's a very story-driven retreat. I think I mentioned that in terms of the senior leaders are really driving the topics based on their own experiences. Now, our senior leaders prepare for 7 weeks to get ready for Kairos. So it's not something that's just kind of put together or read from a script. It's really individualized and story driven in that way. Next slide, please. So we're encouraging everyone to sign up for Kairos. The registration was posted on Schoology on May 3rd, and it also is linked here in this slideshow, which I think is getting sent to you. I didn't confirm that. Kairos is held across the span of academic year, of junior year. So if your student is in a sport, we encourage them to sign up for Kairos in the off season. It's really hard to coordinate practice and game schedules around Kairos. And we really stick to holding students to that 3-day experience of Kairos. Now, the 3 days is off campus. They will be missing school. So there is some preparation that we encourage and, remind of the students to make ahead of time. Actually, over 65% of the class has already registered. Back in April, I went to all of the theology classes so that I met face to face with all of the rising juniors and encouraged them to sign up for Kairos when we release that registration form. My goal is to have 75% of our class of the junior class registered for Kairos before the end of this academic year. I think we're pretty close to that. And that just helps, as we were talking about those time management skills, that just helps to get that on the calendar, have your students start thinking about it and prepare for it, that it works with the family calendar and all of those things so that you're not surprised by that. The fee for Kairos is $275, but there's lots of aid available so that the cost should not be prohibitive to you. If you want any, if you have any questions about that or Kairos in general, I should have put this in here, but the email that you can email, I'll put in the chat. It's kairos@depaulprep.org. And you can write there any questions that you have about Kairos. Next slide, please. So, like I said, 65% of the class or more has already registered for their Kairos date for 2024-25 school year. In fact, 2 of our Kairos retreat dates are already full. So that December date and the February date is full. There's still room in the October, March, and April dates. I would ask that you take a look at sports schedules again, so that we're not having athletes who are in season at Kairos. And then the first Kairos of every academic year, usually held in September, is held for the senior class in case they couldn't do it junior year. So a TBD date is a Kairos date for September, and that would be September 2025. Next slide, please. Okay, that was me. Again, the email, you feel free to email me any questions that you have about Kairos.
Great, thanks, Ms. Lozano. All right, so now the fun stuff, summer assignments. So rising junior students will be expected to complete summer reading in all of their English classes, as well as some of the social studies and AP classes. Those details are released near the end of this school year. Those teachers will be sending it out. For English, summer reading for English is shared within students by their current English teacher, and then that will also be posted on the school website. For social studies classes, if there's any summer assignments, those will be shared with students during the semester 2 final exams, which are coming up next week. And then they will also be posted on Schoology as well. So some of those students in English and social studies will have some work to do over the summer. And then lastly, to wrap things up, these are some of the important dates that we like to highlight for juniors. I'll let you kind of glance through those, but most important ones, August 22nd is going to be the first day of school. So mark that on the calendars. And then some of the other things that, Ms. Kern talked about is kind of that junior college kickoff and junior college planning that kind of happens around November, December. The big junior ring ceremony will happen at the end of January. That DePaul College Fair that Ms. Kern talked about in April. All school testing is typically mid-April. And then at the end of April, we have our big Honor Society induction ceremony. All these dates will be posted on our school website and the calendar. And then they are shared out with families throughout the school year as well in the upcoming newsletters. And I believe that is the last slide we have today, right, Ms. Curtin?
That's correct. That's it
Awesome.
today.
And I believe we answered most of the questions in the chat. If anyone else has anything else, they can throw that in there. Again, for some of the families that joined a little late, this will be posted. We did record it and will be posted and sent out to all families, so you can go back and view. I just see a question about the ring ceremony. So juniors have the chance to purchase a class ring during their junior year, and information will be sent out about the ring ceremony, but they have the opportunity to purchase a junior ring, and then we have a ceremony for the juniors in the second semester. Okay, well, I think that wraps up for tonight. Again, thank you for giving up your Tuesday night on this beautiful sunny evening. We appreciate all of you. If there's any additional questions that come in, we will address that in the chat and then have this posted for you. Your students are amazing. We love them. We appreciate your support as parents, and we look forward to that transition from sophomore to junior year. So thank you for being with us tonight. And enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you, Rams.
Thank you so much. Bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Hi, Nicole.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting and hopefully the recording worked. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Night, guys. Bye.
Good night.